Zdravím vás, moje meno je Robo a vítajte pri počúvaní podcastu Starajme sa. Podcastu, ktorý sme venovali všetkým milovníkom zvierat, kde si pravidelne pozývam rôznych hostí, s ktorými rozoberám zaujímavé témy zo sveta chovateľstva. No aj keď dnes teda ten podcast nebude z ďalekého chovateľstva, ale bude ohľadom prírody, ochrany prírody, o živočíchoch, o rastlinách a všetko, čo s tým súvisí. A preto som veľmi rád, že tu môžem privítať nášho dnešného hostia, ktorým je prírodovedec, ochranár prírody, spisovateľ, televízny producent, moderátor série BBC, ktorého môžete poznať napríklad zo série Prehistorický park, Nigel Marven. Nigel, I am so happy to welcome you in our podcast, Starajme sa, or Let's Care. And I believe you enjoy the stay in here.
Yes, no, ahoy, nice to see you again. I love Slovakia. I love visiting Slovakia. Beautiful country and very lovely people.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's very good, very lovely here.
Thank you. A naším ďalším, nepoviem hosťom, lebo dnes bude mať úlohu moderátora, je náš už predošlý host, ktorým je ochranár prírody, herpetológ, zároveň garant superzo pre teraristiku, Milan Oselský. Milan, ďakujem, že si, dá sa povedať, že viac menej zariadil tento podcast.
Ďakujem aj ja za zavolanie.
No a ja by som ešte tak trošku upozornil, že tento podcast bude vedený v anglickom jazyku. Ale v prípade, že angličtina nie je úplne vaša doména, rovnako ako je to v mojom prípade, tak kompletne otitulkovaný podcast budete môcť si pozrieť na YouTube kanály Starajme sa. No, OK, we can start.
Okay, brilliant. So thank you and welcome, Nigel, again in our podcast and again in Slovakia. It's brilliant to have you here. So after our last podcast, what we've done here, you obviously went for a bit of traveling across Slovakia. Any special places, any special memories, anything you liked about that?
Yeah, no, I was astonished by the biodiversity that's still left in Slovakia. I mean, we've only got 54% of our biodiversity in the UK. You've got a lot more than that. Highlights for me, the High Tatras National Park, hiking there, what a spectacular landscape. And then you see chamois, those specialised mountain goats. You, in fact, spotted them. You were with me and you spotted them, so that was great. But we saw chamois, marmots, which are those big rodents with fat tummies that gather grass at the end of the summer. They're a beautiful thing to see, and they whistle when they see a predator. And I'll also never forget Paradise National Park and the susliks. I mean, an endangered species in Slovakia, but you've put a lot of work into protecting them. And you can go to that Paradise National Park, sit on the ground, and susliks climb all over you, climb on your head, and all of those sorts of things. So I'm really looking forward to spending more time in Slovakia.
So it's not just one thing, but really the biodiversity and a lot of memories from the last trip, yeah?
Yeah, butterflies, fantastic butterflies in your country. You caught an Aesculapian snake to show me that. That's a terrific species that it's been introduced into the UK. You get them near London Zoo along the canals near Regent's Park, but it's not a native species like it is here. So great seeing those with you and lots of lovely things in Slovakia.
Yeah. So when you're going out chasing the wildlife, observing the animals, do you go out to see the animals itself, or you are more interested in the ecosystem where they live, or is it a combination? What was the most interesting part?
It's a combination of both, but of course the ecosystem is the most important. I love immersing myself in the ecosystem. I love learning about the trees and plants that certain animals need to survive. I like knowing the food plants of caterpillars. The butterflies would disappear if they haven't got the right food plants for their caterpillars. But of course, animals are important. Iconic animals like the giant panda, in your country like the bear. If you lose the habitat, you'll lose the bears. If you protect the habitat of bears, then you're also protecting the habitat for woodpeckers and fire salamanders and snakes and all of the other things that live with the bears. So it's important to have these iconic animals. A guy in the UK, a conservationist, said, why should we care about the giant panda if they disappear, let them disappear. Well, if they disappear, then golden pheasants and tarkin, which are a type of goat, disappear in China. So you need these iconic animals to help protect ecosystems.
Yeah, I just watched some interview also about the importance, because the same view on large pandas, some people have got on whales, right? But exactly, you are spot on these. The largest animals are usually having the largest impact on the environment itself, and upon their presence, thanks to them, we've got many more species which are depending on them. So, like, for instance, those whales, basically from the whale's poop, that's the food for all the plankton, which they are feeding again on, So, actually, there's been a nice study made about the importance of the whales in the oceans, even though it is not that significant, and that's probably the biggest challenge, how to make people understand this. That is about the connection. It's not about the one animal, but it's really about the connection.
Yeah, well, I mean, wolves can't survive without big tracts of land. The big predators need large areas of forest. You are very lucky to have that in Slovakia, but if you don't stop it now, it's going to be eaten away bit by bit, and then there won't be room for wolves. But it's fabulous that you still have them, and I think, the Slovak people I met, they're so proud of their wildlife that I think there's a great opportunity now to save the habitats so you have wolves in the future.
Yeah. So in your mind, because obviously you as a naturalist, I've seen you in action, you are equally excited to see a bear as you are equally excited if you watch a small butterfly on the flower. What do you think is the best way to communicate to people the importance of the nature protection itself?
I think I think the pandemic helped because people were going in their gardens. There wasn't any traffic, so they were hearing bird song. They noticed when butterflies first flew in their garden. People somehow got a connection back with nature. Ecotourism holidays now are the biggest expanding type of holiday because people would like to be in nature. They don't want to be stuck in big cities anymore. So, but I would recommend, to really appreciate nature, lie on your tummy in the grass like you used to do when you were a kid and look at praying mantises, look at beetles running around, and then look up and see the lesser spotted eagle. You've got a big population of those in this country flying overhead. So appreciate everything. And that's what I like about my films, because we don't have the massive budgets of a David Attenborough production. So we can't spend 50 days on a boat trying to film humpback whales, but we can spend a little bit of time. I'm very excited about Sago Pedo, which is called the musician cricket. And it's an endangered species in your country, but they wave their legs around just about before they're going to catch prey, and they can eat things as big as praying mantises. This is a bush cricket. So lots of fascinating animals and stories in Slovakia, which I can't wait to share with the world.
Perfect. We also met and we spent some time in rescue center and eco center at Zazriva. You obviously, when you're traveling across the globe, you are meeting or you visiting these kind of places all around the globe. What is your opinion on the importance of such places?
Incredibly important. Obviously, in an ideal world, there wouldn't be injured eagles or buzzards or injured, orphan bears. But because we have such an impact on the planet now, they're hit by cars, they hit electric cables. So we have to intervene because it's our fault in the first place that they've had an accident. So that's important. So I think places like Zazriva are doing a really good job. I'm a conservationist, not an animal welfare person. So I am obviously extremely worried about it. I don't like people being cruel to animals, but I'm not sure about keeping pigeons. For example, there are lots of pigeons because of how we leave grain around, because of how we live in cities. Pigeons are doing a lot, so it may be a waste of resources to rehabilitate pigeons, but it certainly isn't with honey buzzards and eagles and bears and the much rarer creatures. They really do need our help. And hedgehogs as well. Hedgehogs are declining. They've declined by 80% in the UK. That could happen here in Slovakia because of slug pellets and people changing practices in their gardens. So they need our help. But pigeons, maybe not. Maybe that's a waste of resources to look after pigeons. But that's my own opinion. I'm sure the people in animal hospitals would have an argument of why pigeons should be looked after. But
no, absolutely. I mean, I know exactly where you're heading with these. In the ideal world, we of course could pay attention to everything, right? Or in the ideal world, we wouldn't have to, because there wouldn't be any sort of accidents. And that's something which also we are meeting very frequently with the question like, does it actually make sense to rescue these animals? There's a saying like, just leave it up for nature to deal with it. What's your view on this?
Well,
because some people argue with this, which is, of course, against my belief, because firstly, we interfere. So we are the ones causing the damage. So why should we leave it up to nature? But I would just be interested in your view on this.
Well, because we've interfered with nature so much, and these animals are having accidents because of man-made structures or because of car accidents, so we need to help them. In a similar way, we have to do habitat management. People say, leave habitats up to nature. Well, if we did that, we've destroyed most of the wetlands in Europe now, and wetlands can be overgrown with forest. There's so few wetlands left, we need to protect them by clearing encroaching forest. In the past, when it was the wildwood and Slovakia was covered in forests and swamps, you wouldn't have to intervene. But now we have to do habitat management to protect species that belong there. In the UK, we have to do it all the time. If we've got 5% of the heathlands left, which are important reserves for lizards and snakes, which we have few of anyway. So we have to intervene to help those animals and to protect their habitat. And that means habitat management. We can't leave it to nature anymore. There's so little nature left. We have to give it a helping hand.
Absolutely. So places like Zazriva, you obviously have been in many of those around the globe. Which one stuck in your memory the most?
Oh, I love them all. I've been to places in Costa Rica where they're rehabilitating ocelots and sloths, and sloths get into a lot of trouble in Central America because they grab hold of electric cables. I mean, it isn't their fault that we need electricity, but it isn't their fault the electric cables are there and they touch a cable and get electrocuted or they get hit by a car. So again, as we keep saying, because we've interfered with nature, they need help. But all of these animal hospitals around the world, they're doing a great job to help endangered species. And those animals are ambassadors, so people can go and see them. I think you can visit Zazriva and see the animals there. Zazriva's helping by boosting public awareness of how to protect animals, how you can leave a little hole in your fences so the hedgehogs can move between gardens. There's lots we can do to help animals. Leave a wild patch in your garden so you can get bees and other insects. If we clear all our gardens and all they are is a patch of grass, that's no good for wildlife at all. So leave some wild patches. And Zazriva were doing a very, very good job. They had bee hotels there to showing how you could attract bees to your... There's lots of bees other than honeybees, solitary bees. They're declining all over Europe and they're important for pollination and everything else. So, it's great. We can all play a part in protecting nature, even in a small way. And all of that adds up to a massive impact.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there is no secret that you came here to Slovakia because there is a movie in the preparation, a documentary about Slovakia wildlife. Why Slovakia?
Slovakia, it's known throughout the world. It's going to be more well known when our documentary is made. I say you and I came up with the idea a few years ago, and I'm glad that, with the help of Super Zoo, we're making it a reality. But, Slovakia, for a small country, it's got lots of large predators, as we've said, bears, wolves, lynx. It's got wonderful landscapes, the high Tatras, some amazing wetlands. It's also got a great diversity of insects that are declining in many places in Europe. The big beetles with the big mandibles, stag beetles, they're quite common still in Slovakia, very, very rare in the UK now, in other parts of Europe. So Slovakia's done an amazing job with a fantastic bird called the Saker falcon, and that was extinct in the country. Last year, you had many pairs breeding and successfully rearing chicks, and that's because of a team of dedicated conservationists putting nest boxes up on big electric pylons, and the birds' nests there. They've got a good area where they can see their prey if they perch on top of a pylon. The Saker falcon is a great success story here in Slovakia. So it's great. And also I love the fact that it's a small country. I mean, we all know about Slovakia in Europe, but not necessarily in Australia and the US and in other parts of the world. My film will be seen in 50 or 60 countries, and hopefully people will say, well, we'd like to visit Slovakia. There's some great wildlife to be seen there.
Absolutely. So obviously, the movie is based upon the best shots you can make, right? What are the shots you are looking to get really in Slovakia? The best one, dream one.
Well, the great thing is we're working with a team of Slovak cameramen, and they know the areas like the back of their hand. I mean, I'll be going on a reptile hunt with you. I can't come to Slovakia and know where all the animals are. I love working with local experts. And we'll be going, to see lizards and snakes with you. The Slovak cameramen are trying to get amazing sequences for us. The suslik place, every year a goshawk hunts the susliks to feed its chicks. There's a chance that a cameraman may get a goshawk taking a suslik back to feed its chicks in the nest. That would be terrific. From our point of view, you and I love reptiles. I mean, we love everything, but reptiles are fantastic. There's a waterfall here where dice snakes climb up and catch fish as they're swimming up the waterfall. So you may get 6 dice snakes, and they're catching fish all the time. A brilliant thing to see. I've seen photographs of it, but not video yet. So I'm hoping we can film that. That would be a real highlight for me. And, some of the landscapes, you've probably got the most famous ice cave in the world, the Dasinska ice cave. We've got special permission to go in there and film when the public aren't there to show the ice walls and everything else in there. Be tremendous, and people don't necessarily know about that, but after the film, they will.
No, I'm pretty sure that even people from Slovakia will discover some new places in our country after seeing the document. In Central Europe, many people consider these animals, which are like exciting for us, as a common, not really interested, which might be actually a danger for these animals in itself, because obviously if we are considering them as a regular, common, nothing special, we don't put the proper care for them.
Yeah, and so, I think it's important that you do, and all of the animals are special, but you've got great bustards here, the biggest flying bird certainly in Europe, maybe in the world. Swans get nearly as big, but I think bustards are up there. You've got red-footed falcons, big populations of those. They use nest boxes. Wonderful to see them flying around. We saw them together catching insects. You've got the wolves, you've got the bears. In Hungary, they've got populations of hamsters, an amazing mole rat with big teeth that you find there. There's on the Hortobágy, the Pustinia, which is a big flatland habitat in Hungary. you've got a flocks of 100,000 cranes flying through. So you've got some amazing wildlife spectacles. You know, the Danube here with so many species of fish. We're going to do a sequence about those with a ichthyologist, a fish expert from Slovakia, and he's going to show us the fish that live there. So these things need protecting. And the problem is things can happen so quickly. In the UK, we used to have house sparrows all over the country. They used to be in the centre of London, in all the London parks. Suddenly people noticed them disappearing, and we lost 80% of our sparrows. Luckily, they're coming back now, but somebody told me today that you're losing the sparrows in Slovakia now. They're not in the centre of Bratislava like they used to be. So when common things like that can become not endangered, but become of concern, that's a real problem. So it can happen quickly. But for Slovakia, it's not too late now. I mean, as long as you're, careful with agriculture and farming practices and everything else, hopefully you'll be able to protect your wildlife. We've destroyed ours in the UK, so it's very difficult. We can't preach to other countries because we've completely lost our biodiversity, but hopefully it's not too late for the countries in Central Europe.
So you already broke the secret that we will be shooting some scenes on the Danube. Maybe for the listeners will be also interested to know what's this documentary going to be about, what they will be seeing in that movie. So what is the plan? What are we going to show them?
Well, it's a celebration of Slovak wildlife and landscapes, and we're going to meet some of the scientists and conservationists that look after the animals in your country. So the High Tatras will do bears, and hopefully wolves. Will do the European pond terrapins. I know you're helping with their conservation. They're an endangered species here in Slovakia, and they need help. They're losing their nesting sites. Their wetlands are being polluted, so it's important to protect them. We'll show that story. There's a friend of ours called Milan Oselský, and he's the only man I know who's got his own beaver pond. So he's been documenting the life of beavers on his land for the last 10 years or so. So we'll be telling his story, and lots of interesting birds. We hope to film amazing studies here with a little owl called a Scops owl, and it's on the northern edge of its range here in Slovakia. And Slovak scientists have found that 80% of the diet are crickets. So it catches these green bush crickets and takes them back to feed its chicks. That's an incredible story, and we will certainly want to cover that. So we're going to do everything from the smallest insects to the largest bears, and hopefully we'll encourage people to go out into the country. The rarest animal in the woods at the moment is a child. You know, kids nowadays are playing on computers, spending all their time indoors, but it would be great to get them out into nature and look for insects and do all of those other things. I'm sure even for Slovak people, there's going to be many surprises in the documentary that they didn't believe was in your country.
Absolutely. So when are we going to kick it off, and when the viewers can see the movie?
Yeah, well, we start shooting in a month or two, this spring 2022. Then we'll do some more filming in the winter, and then we'll start editing and everything. And it should be on Slovak TV next summer, I think. So next summer we'll be able to see it, or they may save it until the autumn. But 2023 will be the time that we can see it, because the Slovak cameramen need some time to get the behaviour and make sure that we get the very best of Slovakian nature.
Okay, so you're staying here even now for a couple more days. Don't worry, this podcast will be out with delay. So what are your next steps after this podcast? What are you going to do? What are your plans?
I'm mainly going to stay around Bratislava, but I'm also going to do some bird watching close to Bratislava in the countryside. I mean, there's some great woodpeckers in Slovakia, and it's obviously a little bit early for reptiles. Even the lizards aren't out basking yet, so I'll wait a while for that. I'm going to see some friends at Super Zoo. You know, I'm really got a lot of good friends now in that company, and it's great. I really think it's brilliant if people keep reptiles in captivity, and Super Zoo really help them with that, providing the right lighting and the right food and all of those things. People get a connection with nature if they keep a bearded dragon or a gecko. So I'm really up for all of those things, as long as the animals are looked after properly and they get the best advice. So I'll enjoy that. Then I'm also doing a film this year in El Salvador. So I leave Slovakia, fly to London, and then go straight to El Salvador, which again is the smallest country in Central America. If you read the research about El Salvador, it says they've lost their jaguars and pumas. There aren't any left. That is in fact not true. So they've got amazing camera trap footage now of pumas, families of pumas with babies playing and jumping on the mother's back. There's incredible turtles there. I'm really looking forward to meeting an amphibian group that I've never been filmed with, the Sicilians. So there's frogs, toads, salamanders, and Sicilians, which are big worm-like creatures that feed on earthworms. They're common in the coffee plantations in El Salvador. They can grow up to 1 meter long. So I'm really looking forward to meeting them. They've got good conservation They've got good conservation programs there with American crocodiles and yellow-naped parrots. Crucially important for nesting hawksbill turtles there. So even though that's a small country, nobody knows about it. People are scared to go there because they think there's a civil war. Well, that ended 20 years ago. Now it's a very safe country. So it will be great to share that with the world as well.
No, absolutely. Can't wait to see the footage from El Salvador. Thank you very much, Nigel, for this podcast. That were all the questions from my side, and I'm very excited to have you again here, and even more exciting to work with you over the next couple of months, shooting the lovely Slovakian nature and tell the story not just to Slovaks but to whole world about how the small country can be really biodiverse.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I can't wait, and thanks to all my friends at Super Zoo. They're doing a great job as well, and they're supporting the film, which is brilliant news.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you very much.
Super, veľa zaujímavých informácií som sa dozvedel. Thank you so much, a lot of very interesting information about my country and my...
Yeah, all good.
Okay, and my máme nejaké užovky, čo žerú, alebo hady, čo žerú ryby? Pri vodopádoch, ak som to dobre pochopil.
Jasné.
Wow. Dobre,
užovky frkané.
V tom prípade sa teším teda na tento dokument. Nigel, I keep my fingers crossed for your project, and I believe that your documentary will be success. OK.
Thank you very much. Brilliant, thank you.
Milan, tebe ďakujem, že si toto krásne sprostredkoval a že si viedol celý rozhovor.
Thank you.
No a vy ste počúvali podcast Starajme sa s Robom Šemerom a v prípade, že sa vám páčil, aj keď tento v anglickej verzii teda nájdete na YouTube s titulkami, a môžete sa prihlásiť na jeho odber cez aplikácie Apple Podcasty, Google Podcasty, Spotify, rovnako nás nájdete na YouTube a všetky nahraté časti vrátane zaujímavých infošiek nájdete aj na stránke starajmesa.sk. Thank you so much.
Sorry, do I need to do that again with my headphones on or not? Are we good?
No,
we're good.